I went to a movie last night, saw it, it's called Ad Astra, you may have seen that advertised. And I'm not a movie critic, so whether I like it or not doesn't matter, you know, but I didn't particularly. But you might, you know, it has its pluses. But what I got out of it, it's about a person going out and further and further and further into space. He's on a mission. And this is a little bit in the future, so you have to go to the moon first. We have a little... This is done very realistically, by the way. It wasn't hokey in any manner at all. But it is a little bit in the future, so you could take a commercial rocket to the moon, you know. Not a lot of people did, but you could. And then you could go from there to Mars, because we had a base underground on Mars. And the problem was, the Earth had a problem, and they were trying to solve it. And they were had to go way, way out. They had to go all the way to Neptune, which is, I believe, is beyond Jupiter. Is that not right? And so you saw in this movie a whole lot of blackness. Space is black. If you see something light, well, that's a star or a planet, I suppose, or the vessel that you're traveling in. But basically, in whichever direction you look, is black. There's nothing there, you know. There's nothing you can see. Let's put it that way. And since they divided it up into steps like that, you got you did get a good sense of how large, you know, our solar system must be. We all know that, but you can't quite take it in. But it's far enough to go to the moon, but we don't stop there. We're going to go to Mars. We're not going to stop there. We're going to go to Neptune. Yeah. And you get the feeling that of infinity when you see so much blackness for some reason or other. It just seems to be going in every single direction. And you got this one man. He started out with some helpers, but they kind of fell by the wayside. Going out there, and I thought, how alone you must feel. You know, you take your radio away, and you are truly alone. You know, yeah, that's the only contact you had. There are not a bunch of other ships around that could do something, help you if there was a problem. You're just out there in the great big blackness. And the thought that came to my mind, so on what do you rest or stand? How do you maintain your peace, you might say? The thought that came to my mind was, infinity is not out there. Infinity is within. And that's what you would have to remember. Because the infinity out there is meaningless. Oh, can I find my meaning in this big piece of blackness over here? Or this big piece of blackness over here? It's all the same. There's nothing there. You can go through an infinite number of meaningless black pieces of space and still not find any meaning. You know, none of them have any meaning. And in reality, if you were out there very long, you'd probably lose your mind. I mean, it's a possibility. Well, actually, come to think about that, that's touched on in the movie. But what I came about from that was, infinity is within you. And infinity to me means that which is without limit, except in a spiritual sense instead of a physical sense. You say, well, is the physical universe actually infinite? Well, I doubt seriously it is. The Course says, you know, that there's going to be an end to time. I don't know whether you are aware of that or whether you think about that, but if this is the big block of time in which we experience, the time, the Course says the time starts at the separation, or the beginning of the separation is the fall. If that's what that is, that's when time began. It says that you'll travel through time, and eventually it says there'll be an end. Now, if time ends, you don't need space. I mean, they go together. If you had space without time, I think I've mentioned in here before that change would not be possible. Time is what allows change to occur. You know, and I've said that in movies they portray that as if you're frozen. You know, if a science fiction story wants to shoot you with a beam of that stops time in your vicinity, they freeze the figure so he can't move. That's not accurate. It just occurred to me today, actually. You know, like, so if you want to freeze things, the guy's doing this and suddenly you stop. Oh, time's frozen. No, that's not what would happen if time is frozen. I mean, time is stopped. Time stopped means there are no change, including all the changes in your body, so you would be instantly dead. There would be no blood going anywhere. You'd just be dead instantly. And so the movies don't quite have that right. And so let's think of, in other words, if you want to think of this as a block of time, and we had a little guy standing on it, he really stands on space, I know, but time needs to be there too so it can change. If you take the block of time away, he's dead. If you take the block of space away, he's just falling. I don't want to, in fact, I have no idea. You're not falling because that would require more space to fall into. Right. I don't really know what that, I don't have a way of telling. But I do know what happens if you take the block of time away. You're dead. Actually, of course, you're not dead. It's the body that's dead. And that just means it can't function. It's of no use. Now, but the course does say that this will come to an end, and like this is kind of in my way, so I have to put it back. But what will happen at the end of time? It tells you precisely what will happen at the end. Well, I say precisely. You may not agree with that word, but it does tell you no matter. And I'll just draw another block under here to represent what happens at the end of time. So you come down here. You might have. It may take several lives to get there. It may not. I don't know. Well, of course it does. We already know that. We already know that. Anyway, eventually time is going to end. And it says, when you reach the end of time, you're basically being told, as a spirit, you're basically being told by the Holy Spirit or the powers that be, that you don't get to experience time anymore. It's over. Time is over. Now, and when that happens, the Course says that basically, I guess all of us said, well, okay, you're telling me time is over and I can't have any more of it. Well, I want some more of it no matter. And the reason that we were told time is over is because time is not real. It said, look, the Course says the Holy Spirit brought a correction to every possible scenario that you could think of that involved time, and said this. You were thinking, well, this scenario on planet Earth involving time should bring happiness to all of us. And it has many twists and turns. It may take a million years to get there, but it does. And it said that instantly the Holy Spirit knew all that time holds, and he realized that none of it could be real. It could not bring happiness. It could not bring satisfaction. It was all a pipe dream with a lot of spokes. The spokes meaning different little scenarios in time that you would pursue, presuming that it would turn out to be wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And the Holy Spirit says, no, that's not. Follow it through far enough, and you get misery, despair, death and emptiness, or whatever. It doesn't work. Time is over. Now, once we heard that, it was like the universe saying to us, one of your best inventions, because time is our invention, fails. It doesn't work. And we were not ready to hear that. And we understood that. It's not we're not that we're dumb in that regard. We understood the argument. We understood what the Holy Spirit was saying and all that. We said, it's kind of like telling the Holy Spirit, I understand that. I know you're right, but I don't care. I don't care what's true or not true here. I want more time. I want to have those kinds of experiences that you get to have in time. And it said the first, and so I'm going to start up, and we call this a dream. I'm going to start having a dream, because my mind's very powerful, and when it dreams, man, it seems like it's real. It's just potent. And I'm going to have a dream, and I'm going to dream of more time. But this is not really time. It says what I'm going to be dreaming about is what happened here. Just, I'm going to remember all this stuff, you know. I guess which ones, I don't know, whichever ones you want. But before you do that, it says that you look back on everything and decide the moment when you want to be released from this dream that you're about to jump into. So we had a little bit of foresight there, but not just totally out of it. I mean, when you reject truth, you are, I feel you're out of it. You know? Truth is what works and untruth doesn't work, you know, and you're rejecting truth. Well, no matter. Yes, we have a sick mind. You reject truth, I regard you as having a sick mind. We all have a sick mind in that. And that's the insanity I was talking about. But we're being healed of it. That's the good thing. But the first thing we decided here, we picked a time. Let's say it's there, at which we would be released from our illusions. The time is picked, at which you will be, and you picked it, will be released from your illusion. But it will really not occur here, because this more time that we're going here can be described as an ego movie. And because you thought this was all, the ego took pictures of all this, put it in its memory banks. It didn't really have a camera to take the pictures with. That's just a way of describing. And the ego movie, which gives you more time, is a replica of the things that occurred here. I mean, you just want to see them again. You want to have more of that. But you also knew that couldn't go on forever. So that's a spark of light there.
Will be released.
And you picked a time, and I'm going to write down here another rectangle that will be the Holy Spirit's movie. I'll just write HS for right now. And actually, you picked a time here because when you are released from all this, you will be watching the Holy Spirit's movie instead of the ego movie. So at this point, you picked when that would occur. You could put it at the very end, but you don't have to. Some people might pick it here, some others here, some there. But that is when you will be released to eternity through with time. Eternity and time are sort of opposites, because eternity is timelessness. Eternity doesn't mean time that's going on forever. It means no time. And that doesn't, well, does that mean we die? I just thought, I had a little picture up there, no time the body dies. Well, it would if we were a body, but we're not a body, so no, it would have no effect on us at all. But at any rate, eternity means timelessness.
So that release is not a release of the body. That really isn't a body thing.
No, the body could be dying. I mean, you could have many bodies passing away and getting another one, whatever. It is a mental. It is when the mind is healed.
It's a state of mind.
Yes, yeah. Yes, it is a state of mind when you finally get to the place. You see, all these are called the correct Holy Spirit's corrections. They're the correct. There's a correction for each thing up here, each attempt to make an illusion real, you might say. There's a correction for each one of them. And at this point is the point where you finally say, okay, I'm tired of the nonsense. I'm just tired. I don't want no more. I want truth. And all truth is with God. There's not are not two or three sources of truth. You know, God number one, God number two, God number three. There's just one. And so there's one source of truth. And it works perfectly for everybody all the time, unless you decide to reject it. Because we have free will, and we can do that. My little pen is running out. I'll change to another. Okay. So this time for you has already been chosen. It could be next year. It could be 1,000 years from now. I don't know. But the course says you chose it, so you can't. So it is truly your choice. But of course you don't remember that. But you did, and it is chosen, and it's fixed. And so the way you get there is to get out of this movie and come into this one, and then you'll be. Eventually, you'll reach that point. Then you're through. But we have evidently a real addiction to time, where things don't work well. I mean, if you don't think it works well, read history. People kill each other all the time. That is not the definition of working well. Luck. If we have luck, we will not destroy the planet. You know, there's even a possibility we could destroy the whole planet. A touch of a button. So I think they could be fairly unanimous on the idea that it's not working perfectly here. In fact, there's actually a lot of unhappiness and misery here. Even animals fight all the time, eat each other. Men don't eat each other, or very, very rarely, but they do fight all the time. And not every single man all the time. It's just that in general, you look at history, war. You look within a particular family, attack. You know, you don't have to look at the nation. You can get a look at just individually. Yes, ma'am.
And in that fight that you're talking about, that struggle, there's no victim. I mean,
No, there isn't.
Nature feeds on itself naturally. It's not a
Well,
bad thing.
even among people, there are no victims, but it looks like they're victims. And we usually get taken in by that. Not all the time.
So is that part of the correction the Holy Spirit offers in His movie, is just to give up on trying to beat the clock?
Okay, now I'm going to answer that, but is there any other comment about this? Because I need more space. This is just your whole journey. Well, actually, you were created here, so I need another dot. You go there, and then you go through all. By the way, how long is this time? The Course calls it a tiny tick of time. Actually, it's about probably a billion years long, as in our experience. But in heaven, it was just a tiny tick of time, and then it was gone. But in our experience, it's all of human history. Well, maybe it deals with other planets too. I don't know about that. But at least all of human history. And this is then the end of history right here. This is the beginning. That's the beginning, and that's the end. All of that, we are now looking at it as if we were in a movie watching a screen. It's already happened. And you say, well, I'm just passive. I'm just sitting there in my chair watching a movie, and it seems like I step here. It seems like I step back. It seems like I made that decision, but it really is already made. I'm not even aware I'm a puppet. I'm not even aware of it. He said, well, pretty much that way, but there's one exception. And that's why I need to, again, any other comment about this? A little bit to take in, probably.
Well, this is, I've been thinking about this when you first started. We got a thing at home, a little round pad that you set a glass of water or beer or whatever, and it's a picture, it's sketch on Adam and Eve wearing their leaf.
Yeah.
That's all I had for now. So that's kind of hard to. Was there really an Adam and Eve?
Well, I think Adam and Eve stand for, mankind or
probably
people
so.
in general.
That they had to start somewhere.
I don't know whether there was I had no way of knowing. But I don't take that that story literally myself, but I do think it has a lot of truth in it. But you know, like, how do you start a species with just 2 animals?
There's gotta be incest somewhere.
You gotta have a whole lot of incest.
Yeah.
You gotta have incest galore.
Well, yeah, maybe that's
Sure,
why
they've thought about
what
that
I'm saying.
I mean, generally,
We're all inbred.
You know, you're not supposed to marry your sister.
I don't want the minimum number. When a species is endangered, that doesn't mean there are 2 left. If there are 2 left, the species is gone.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's true.
Yeah.
It means what, there are 1,000 left? I don't know what the number is, but you need a fair number. You need a number.
Yeah.
You can't do it too. But it still has truth in it. That story, that you know, it's just
Allegorically speaking.
not exactly literally. You know.
So I could
And
start-
those little leaves they wore did not have Sears and Roebuck written
No,
on
but
them.
I could start calling my wife a sister of Eve, right? My wife could be a distant sister of Eve.
Well, you could too.
Yeah, of Adam, yeah.
Yeah. Well, or Eve. Who says that the gender is maintained through all this time?
Look like your dog.
Anybody else got a, yes?
So, are you saying that sort of like we already went through one period of time and it came to an end and
Yes.
we're redoing another period of time, reliving the same period of time?
The course actually says everything you see
Right, so
is actually, you've already seen in the tiny tick of time. It just makes that blatant kind of statement. It says it several different times in different ways.
it's kind of, it's so vast to comprehend because time already happened and all this big segment of time happened,
Yeah.
but it really happened within an instant
In heaven's view.
in heaven's view.
Yeah.
So then we could actually, from heaven's view, be viewing time again rather than going through a second period of time.
Well, I think if you're in heaven, you wouldn't be interested in time, so you wouldn't bother the views. Oh, no, a better answer. In heaven, it was, the course says, time lasted for such that all this had lasted for such a short time that not even a note in heaven's song was missed.
Right.
It was just a little blip to heaven. It had no effect.
So then you would be viewing it from infinity's point of view, just that you're living through time and experiencing time, but really viewing it from your higher self in
Yes, we're not.
at an infinite point of view.
Yeah, we don't have immediate access to our higher self, you know, and within the dream, except through the Holy Spirit, I think.
So there's not another new segment of time happening, we're just viewing it.
Exactly, that's exactly right. In other words, this is an illusion of time. This was time as it was first conceived and hoped to be real. The sons of God, us, we made time. We felt it could be real. In fact, we wanted it to replace eternity.
So they're really both the same. It's not two separate instances of time.
That's right. That's right. The only difference is that here we were hopeful that our new idea of time would actually win out and replace eternity. We're not hopeful of that anymore, but we still enjoy the dramas.
The ego.
No, time would be going this way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't draw that.
The ego movie is shown against the backdrop of time on the time. It's kind of like the backdrop is the screen the movie's being shown on, but the ego is ourself. I mean, we created the ego
That's
in
right.
order to have this experience in time.
Right, right.
So is the correction, the Holy Spirit's movie, is that not on the background of time? Is that out of time? But I guess it's
No,
still
his
on the
correction is
background
in
of
time. He uses
That's right, yeah.
all this. And now what, so here you are sitting in your movie chair watching all this and having the illusion of making your own choices, and actually they've already been made. But there's one exception. You actually get to make a true choice. In one way, and only one way. And that's when you're sitting in that chair here you are sitting in this chair in the movie, and you get the idea, I don't like this. This is too heavy, this is too hard, I don't like, there must be a better way. And you call out to that which is beyond our existence for help. And the Course says that's when a miracle occurs. And the Holy Spirit is the mechanism of miracles. He is the attendant in the movie. He walks down the aisle and says, this way, sir, come this way. And we don't have to be watching this. It's not necessary. And takes you into another movie. And now you start seeing the Holy Spirit's corrections, which you understood when they were first given, but you didn't like. But now we're at a kind of a different place. We say, well, I think I like this one. This feels happy. This feels peaceful. I like this one. And so we continue in this. This is your one power of real choice that you can exert, and that is to actually shift from the ego's the replays of what's happened earlier with all the ego's interpretations dumped on it. And then you come into here. Now what happens here, you're seeing the same thing, but you're seeing it differently. You're seeing it from the Holy Spirit's perspective instead of the ego's perspective. Okay. Yes, Larry.
Well, Norma explained it to me one night about, it's like the same movie's going on, but we just go up, the Holy Spirit comes and gets us and takes us up to the balcony.
That's right.
So the same projections are being played, but we're just looking at it from a different viewpoint.
Not quite. You get this. You got these projections. These things down here are just the same thing that happened there. And remember, here we rejected the Holy Spirit's solutions. Okay. When you come into here, you start accepting the Holy Spirit's solution. So instead of hitting the other person back, you offer them an olive branch or whatever, you might say. So your actions actually start to be different here than they were ever there. Because in this tiny tick of time, we did not accept the Holy Spirit's corrections. We just reject them. We don't want them. Now we're open to them, so we want them. And so you say, uh-oh, this movie is not the same as this one now. Okay? Well, every once in a while you're going to fall by. This one really needs to be above for the movie, because this should be the balcony, but let's ignore that. And I'll always say that if you latch onto the ego again, the floor collapses and you just go right back down into the egos. It's an automatic thing. Well, you want to be able to, you have to be, it has to be such that you now see on the ego screen the same thing you see here. They can't just, our life's that way, you know, the chair's there or it's not. And so the only way to make that is to change the original script, if you want to call it a script. And so Jesus, let's say Jesus does it, goes back and says, takes the acceptance of your correction with your signature at the bottom, files it with some clerk. I'm just making this up, of course. And he says, oh, yeah, the other person's accepted now. So there's a piece of this that is now undone and taken out. Whereas previously you rejected that solution, now you're accepting it, and therefore this aspect of separation is gone. That's the undoing. And in order for this movie now to be updated so it agrees with this one, this updating will go on and on and on. It's a matter of undoing of time, and so this gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and eventually, of course, it'll be such that everybody has done that, and and these people, and we're being released to eternity, and eventually all will be released to eternity because all will be following this path. Any other? I'm wanting to go into something else, but I'm wanting not to leave it just in the wrong place, you might say. Anybody? So please feel free to make a comment. I think this is a little bit to take in.
On the correction, the Holy Spirit's correction is that like just it's okay to move on?
No, okay, that's where I want to move on to. Fine, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
He had to wait a long time for that.
I think Tom's not that big a deal. It's just,
That's what the Holy Spirit does with our
Right, it just
mistakes.
erases.
Turns it into
The difference, I said, is when somebody attacks, so, in the Egos movie, we see attacks. Okay. Also, if someone just may be rude to you, that's an attack. They're all attacks. In heaven, there are no attacks. In eternity, there are no attacks. So the question is, what do you do with an attack? It's like, the Course says we've made up an image of ourselves that is not true, but we believe that image. So let's how do we draw the image that we've made? Well, let's just draw it as like a thistle of some sort. It's messed up. It's kind of ugly, actually. I realize I'm not saying your all's bodies or look that bad. It's not that. This is supposed to represent not just your body, but the emotions and personality that goes with it. And anytime you attack, you really it's all messed up for sure. Okay. And the Holy Spirit's solution to this is to see through it. Because in the center there is a piece of perfection. That you've forgotten about the perfection, so you're lashing out at anybody that steps on your toes. You know, anytime you get insulted, boy, you slash, whatever, attack, for whatever reason. There are all kinds of different reasons. And the challenge here is to not see this ugly, or perhaps frightening, whatever, thing that's just, you know, like a beast of some sort, in the emotional or mental sense. See through it to what is real, to what is true. And this piece of perfection is just like God. It doesn't think differently from God. It thinks like the same way God. Obviously, it's in a box. I guess I should say it's pretty well walled off, but it's there. If it were there in full force and not walled off, this other image thing would have to be dissolved, and so it couldn't be there. So it's walled off enough to make this untrue thing visual and perceptible. Now, so when you experience an attack, you're being given an opportunity, a rare, well, I don't know if it's rare or not, but it might, well, it could be. You're being given an opportunity to do something amazing, to see that which is instead of that which is not. If you want to leave your head in a bowl of nothingness, well, you'll just see an attack. You have an opportunity. Instead, to step back and take another step towards your time of release, I might add. And it's to say, I'm not going to make this stuff real any more than I have to. I mean, you know, just do the best you can. But this stuff, all this stuff here, we say it's illusion. It's not real. Well, it looks real and feels real because we've got a body and we feel through the body, and if a stone hits your head, you generally feel it, you know. But you have an opportunity here to say, I want to see through that. And that's like saying, I want to forgive him or her because I know him or her, he or she doesn't know what they're doing. Because they're not acting from their truth. They're acting on the basis of their image. And their image is nothing. It has no reality. But it doesn't seem like nothing to you if somebody calls you a bad name and starts throwing a rock at you. It feels differently. Anytime that happens, you need to go on high alert. You know, like our country goes on to has various degrees of what do they call that level?
Purple, red, yellow, green.
Orange.
DEFCON.
DEFCON or 2 or 1 or 3, whatever DEFCON. Def must mean defense, communication. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
It means something. DEFCON. It means something to somebody. Well, you need to go on one of those levels for yourself and immediately say, Holy Spirit, help me see this person as you do. Or something equivalent. I don't want to see through the ego's eyes. It's because the ego is going to tear into this. And what you must remember is your perfection. Their imperfection cannot remove your perfection.
Nor theirs.
Nor theirs. That's right.
And that image has got that perfection in it, we just don't always see it.
That's exactly right. And no one person has more or less of it than others. It's the same. We're all the same. We're all the same. There's no difference there, you know. But we like to pretend we're different. So we make up a body. Here we got a body. That's your body. Now there's another body over here. It looks different. It's taller. It's got a little short arms. Whatever. And we get attached to our body. We get attached to our personality. That's not what you are.
So
But if-
when you're seeing imperfection in this other image, which is all that jagged stuff
Yeah.
around the outside of the box, we're only seeing what's in our, we may say, I've got to forgive his imperfection, but we're really only seeing our imperfection, because that jagged box you can't see. All that is in his mind. That's his image of himself.
That's
But
what
we
the-
don't see that.
Yeah, that's what the Course says. It says actually, in order to see this, we have to have some belief, all right, that it's us as well, and we project it onto them. And so that also is a way to help you forgive, which means not blame it on him.
Yeah.
The idea here is when there's an attack, is that you can control the situation, and the Course has a wonderful quote in there, and it says this: the best defense against an attack, say, is not to attack back. That is to attack the other person's position or appearance or his home or anything else. Just merely protect the truth. That means the truth is you protect your truth. So and this is an amazing statement. You call me an idiot, okay? Natural response, I call you an idiot. And now we just keep exchanging idiot words, for an hour or two.
To
That
deny
mean
it.
nothing.
Which is what you want. Your response must not be something that gives more fuel to the fire. Your response must not be something that the other person can hook. Your response can say, "Well, I'm a smarter idiot than you are." Then that gives him something else to attack. Well, you look dumb to me, whatever. You don't give him anything he can attack. You just protect your truth, and your truth is, I'm the Holy Son of God. You might not be wanting to say that if he's actually attacking your football team. He's saying that UT's football team is the worst team ever to exist in history, and it's just a bunch of trash people out there.
Chattanooga doesn't think
Whatever.
so.
Then you can start an argument with that, but you just don't bother with that. You don't care what he thinks about your team. You care what you think about it. And that's threatening what you think about it. So I protect my truth by saying, well, I really love the UT football team. You don't have to. It's your choice. Whatever. But you kind of have to do that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you have to affirm your truth. You have a right to your view. The view is the football team are irrelevant. But that's not where you are. You love your football team, see? That's where you are. You love the body of the people in your family. Those bodies are really irrelevant. That doesn't mean you really want all those bodies destroyed. So wherever you are, it doesn't have to be ultimate truth. We don't have ultimate truth down here anyhow. Your truth, what is true to you, as you know it, you just need to protect it, and you do that by making a statement about it. And you don't try to change the other person's view. That is an unproductive waste of time, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to go there.
We do have ultimate truth here. It's right there in the perfection that we keep missing.
But perfection is not here.
Not here.
But a piece of it's everywhere. And it all works together. There are no separate parts. This is a big thing we're all in together. We're not here one at a time for a reason.
A lot of different statements in there, I don't know which to address. But yes, perfection is here, but also, yes, our minds are sick and don't know it,
We don't.
for the most part.
We
Now,
have
the
a
course
really
does,
hard time seeing it without all the imperfection. We got the contrast. Without it, we just don't get it. Not in this life anyway.
not in this lifetime, in heaven you don't need the contrast.
Well, there's
but
no
here-
contrast
The
involved.
Holy Spirit does use contrast to help you understand what you are and what you are not. And so you don't want to say you're this, you want to say you're that. And so if I'm fighting this, I am saying, well, that's what I am. It's important enough to fight, you know. And you will be fighting it with your own monstrous looking thing there. Two monsters, two illusions clash. The Course says truth and illusion don't fight. Only two illusions can fight. It's kind of a restatement of what you were saying. Your truth cannot be harmed, but so you have to hold on to it because your mind can let it slip away. Sometimes you don't have any sense of it at all, in fact. You know, you're just stark raving insanity, shooting it with every gun you can get your hand on. Yes.
I chose a section of review to review lessons, and the one I just finished was "Give me your blessings, Holy Son of God," and that answers this perfectly because, like Norm was saying, you know, it's hard to see bypass your own judgments. I was having difficulty bypassing my own judgments, but then when I used this lesson and I saw, ask for my brother's blessings upon me from his Holy Spirit to me, it just changed everything. It made it so much easier to accept.
I know I've told this to various and sundry people, but I think it's a clear example. It is for me at any rate that some number of years ago I had a little group at my house and a woman asked a question, I answered it, and a little bit later she asked a different question, I answered that. And the viewpoint that one guy sitting over here, my answers were inconsistent. Who knows whether they were or not, whatever. But he came out with this big, strong statement. You're a hypocrite to say that. I mean, just about that strong. Because he didn't receive it as consistent one statement as the other. And I addressed him by name and I said, Joe, I'll call him Joe. It's fine if you think that. I don't. Now, it wasn't that I didn't think I was inconsistent. I had no idea. I hadn't had time to reflect on it. It meant I didn't care. It's irrelevant. But I don't think I'm bad because of it. See, that's really the issue. So, but I would have had to speak up. If I just simply been quiet and said, "Kumbaya, kumbaya, kumbaya," whatever, that energy would not be bothered by the kumbaya stuff. It would just come out and make me feel that there's something bad about me because I was inconsistent. Ego would say, actually, it doesn't matter whether you're inconsistent, you're just bad anyway. But but the inconsistency really makes it even more so. You're never, this is such a piece of wisdom here. You don't have to change his mind. In fact, that just prolongs the fight, you might say. What you got to do is not start the fight, see? Just don't get your toe in it at all. Just come back and protect your truth, and your truth is your perfection, which says you're guiltless, you're fine, God is happy with you. Good, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
Let's join in a circle and have a closing thought. Thank you all for being here today. I want to remind you of our meeting Wednesday night with Ricky and Micah, 7. Hope you can